Whew, all right. I'm going to take a sip of that. It's just going to be a light-hearted video, just going over things. 40. That is how many projects that I am running on this particular channel. 40 different albums and or EPs are coming to you all in the span of the next few years. So, I thought I would make this little video, I'm gonna regret that adjective later on, and explain to you in detail every single project that I'm going to be working on within the next distant years. Those of you who are interested in only one or two or only a few different projects, there are going to be timestamps in the description. That is non-negotiable because I'm going to be talking about a lot of things. Covers, originals, future projects that haven't been revealed yet, including both covers and originals, stuff that I've talked about before, only hinted at, things like that. This is going to be probably one of the longest videos that I'm ever going to be making, and not only that, but I'm right there. I'm entirely unscripted this video. I'm going to be running through everything without a script, so honestly, I feel like I should just get into it. This is going to be like one long video file that I'm going to be just cutting up and splicing intermittently. So let's just get into it. So the first thing I want to touch on, because this is being recorded after the release, is thanking you guys for the reception of FlashDrive Finalist Edition. It was an interesting project because I didn't think I was going to do it. Because of the video that I have made entitled regarding DA games, I had told you guys that I was not going to be covering any material further than the Iris Finalist collection, you know, Goliath's Throne, DOTD, Heart of an Artist. And when I was going to be done with Goliath's Throne Finalist, which is coming out December 3rd, and that we'll talk about in a little bit here, I said I was going to be done with DA Games and Iris stuff. But I joined a little community, an unofficial DA Games server, or DA Discord server. I can't exactly remember the name of things. Again, I'm running entirely off script right now, but that was a situation where I joined that server, and because it was just on the cusp of FlashDrive SSD releasing, I thought, you know, I'll join the server. And during the main event leading up to the release, one of the members in there, one of the admins, decided we're going to look back at FlashDrive, not only at the original FlashDrive and what singles have released so far, but we're also going to be looking at the past covers that release. Now, for those of you who don't know, most of you probably should though, I did release a cover collection of FlashDrive back in 2024, back in, I believe, January or the very beginning of February of 2024, and that was varying degrees of quality across that cover collection. I don't think I did exactly the best that I could even at that time. It was a situation where I had a lot of free time on my hands back in 2024. That was a point in time where I was very, you know, going with things like streams. So I had backlogs of content, so I was just like, you know what, I'll record a cover album for FlashDrive and think really nothing of it. Turns out that during this event in the unofficial DA server, one of the members, Mian, who is now like a pretty decent friend of mine, they're a good pal, they kind of were like, you know, FlashDrive SSD's coming out. Why don't you like try doing at least one song? Specifically, Black was the one that mentioned. And I was like, I'll think about it, but I'm not sure that I'm gonna do it, you know, given I put out the video. Well, that turned into the entire album, and now it's done. And I wanted to thank you guys for the reception on it, because that cover collection in particular was really important for me in terms of how my new vocal mix is. It taught me a lot of different things in terms of how more complex layering works. I did a lot of harmonies in there to varying degrees of success, but I still did some pretty decent harmonies in there. My softer vocal range has actually gotten a lot better. I was able to hit some notes that I don't think I've ever actually hit before. The ending of White and that very long note in Silver in particular. Speaking of Silver, I gotta shout out my buddy Wiley, because Wiley is just fucking phenomenal. He's a beast on vocals. And this man records on a fucking phone, and his vocals sound as good as they do, which is just absolutely crazy to me. Wiley was a great help with Silver, because that rap section is hard and I don't think I would have been able to do it. So I kind of went to Wiley and said, hey, you want to do this? And he was like, well, only if I can be on like the rest of the song. And I was like, sure, why not? The original plan was for Wiley to be on not only the second verse and chorus, but the final chorus as well as the second half of the bridge. But he didn't get his vocals in time that we had set, so he was just like, I don't have time for this, just if you can, do it yourself. So that's kind of what I did, and I think the album is better for it with him included in it in Silver. I think that really bumped up the bar in terms of quality. And of course we have to mention Brandon BBB for that wonderful art piece, who will continue to do art pieces for the channel going forward, including on Players and Pieces. Again, we'll talk about that soon. And Goliath's Throne Finalist. Speaking of that, I think we should get the chance to talk about that now, because Goliath's Throne Finalist is easily the most complicated of the Finalist Iris collections. The original Goliath's Throne is a 14-track album running about 59 minutes. Goliath's Throne Finalist Edition is 19 tracks running an hour and 25 minutes. That is a massive increase in terms of content. There's just a lot of stuff that is in that collection that I've been pretty secretive about. I mean, I've said a lot of what's on there on streams. For those of you who don't know, I've been doing vocal recording streams for all of my projects and will continue to do so for all projects going forward, including originals and covers. And on those streams, I kind of revealed that there are 5 new tracks added to Goliath's Throne Finalist Edition from the original. I say new, but they're actually going to be songs that are pretty familiar to you guys. The first one is one that you know because I released it as a single. That would be Obsession. Originally, this song was an Iris song, but it got turned into Parasite in 2019. I decided, you know what, Rainy, Madman Instrumentalist, has made a pretty good cover of Parasite. So originally the process was to do a cover of Parasite for the Freddy's Final Megamix collection. Again, we'll get into that later. But the process there was to do a cover of Parasite. But I thought, you know what? I'm doing Goliath's Throne Finalist Edition. Why not add more onto it? So I decided to do Obsession, add a key change. But the problem with that was it didn't have a second verse or bridge section. So I wrote the second verse and then made the bridge/breakdown section that of Parasite. I really wanted to add a bit of my own autonomy and my own take on Goliath's Throne with this collection. And that was a situation where I was like, you know what? I want to do more of this. So instead of having an album with just a few key changes, Goliath's Throne Finalist Edition is a lot of, yes, it is still a lot of key changes. I'd wager like a little bit less or even a little bit over half of the album is filled with key changes. In the case of things like Hibernation, there are a ton of lyric changes, different shifts in things like Omen Child, there's some notation and melody shifts there. With the title track, Goliath's Throne, you guys are actually going to see that as the final single for the album at the tail end of November. There's a lot of changes that I have made to this album to make it personally more geared towards me as a musician, because again, I feel that the 14 tracks of Goliath's Throne, it gets a little bit stale because they cover a wide range of topics, and there's a lot of commentary on things like social media or the world as we know it right now. It's actually gotten a lot more relevant socially than ever, but in the case of the general sound, it has this very industrial kind of tone that, yes, it is fun, but after a while, it just gets a little bit old and stale. So with GT Finalist, I really wanted to amplify my take on that sound and make it more of an engaging experience where you really don't know what comes next, whether that be lyric changes, melody shifts, key changes, a lot of fucking key changes, and that's not even to mention the other 4 tracks in addition to Obsession that I've added to this. So let's talk about it. In addition to Obsession, there is Guardians, one of the old ballad tracks that was originally, I believe it was previewed in either 2018 or 2019, shortly before Goliath's Throne as an album released. I thought that this was one of the more beautiful songs from Will, and I wanted to do my best in doing a cover that contained what we knew of the song. So it's, I believe, besides Going Away, I believe Guardians is the shortest track on the album, running only 3 minutes. Like, literally, it's at the 3-minute mark exactly. The third extra track is a little bit of a different one. In the old days of Goliath's Throne production, there was the preview of Goliath's Throne coming soon. I'll probably insert that video here right now. And with that video, as you can hear, there was an old version of Omen Child that oddly sounds a bit like Goliath's Throne, and so I partnered up with a good friend of mine, Sheev, who has been doing their own original music, along with doing some Iris covers here and there, to create Omen Child Alter Edition, which is the full extension of not only that chorus, but the rest of the song. I believe it runs about 3.5 minutes, contains some very different things, the released version of Omen Child, and it also contains some little things for myself and for Sheev, and it contains one big twist specifically at the ending that I don't think you guys are going to expect. It's been a blast working with Sheev on this project, especially because they did the next track that follows, Resurgence. Resurgence is not a song that was on the original Goliath's Throne album, and to that point, it is an original song created by both myself and Sheev for Goliath's Throne Finalist Edition. This is a track that Sheev and I have spent hours working on in its totality. I want to say I've spent well over a day cumulatively working on the lyrics and the vocals for this song. Resurgence is a song that is placed in between You're Better Off and Overriding Conquer. The goal with that is, in the story of Goliath's Throne, you have You're Better Off, which is the title character Goliath. I don't know if this is still canon or not. Please, Will, don't make this non-canon. You're Better Off is a song about someone who is in a depressive state and rises back up from it. And Overriding Conquer is a song about a force from that person's perspective rising, above the rest of the world. What Resurgence aims to achieve is the in-between point, the person who rose up from that depressive, suicidal state, gaining the courage to extend their hand to raise other people up. That was the goal with that track, and I think it really worked. Again, I wrote the lyrics myself. Sheev wrote the instrumental himself. We kind of collaborated on how everything should go. And it's probably one of my proudest tracks ever that I've ever recorded on the channel before, including originals and covers. It's just one of those songs that really I think was one that I needed to write at this point in my life, because I recently, the past couple of years have been a point of such emotional turmoil in my life that I needed a song like that to help me rise up. So yeah, that's Resurgence, and it has been an absolute honor to write it with Sheev. I know I'm missing one. I know that I'm missing one. Hold on, audience. We have Obsession, Omen Child Alter, Guardians, Surveillance. Oh, that's the one that I'm missing. Bind the Bible, by the way, is a track that I have wanted to see in its entirety for a very long time. Bind the Bible Finalist Edition, again featuring Sheev, is the biggest project that I've ever had to do as a cover. but it's also an original. Let me explain. So, the original Bind the Bible was a set of 2 big previews that we got. One was about a minute and a half, the other one was about 2 minutes, which showcased the Heart of an Artist version, which was a key up from the version we know from Goliath's Throne, which is the "It's time to close the Bible," you know, that chorus, with an extra verse on top of that, you know, suggesting that it was a big thing. But then Bind the Bible got just fucking cancelled, along with Goliath's Throne Deluxe Edition that was supposed to release, I believe, in either 2019 or 2020, was when that was supposed to come out. And then we got Dawn of the Demetrix, which contained the chorus of Bind the Bible in Peace Be Thy Name. Now, I was happy with that, and then Will decided to pull another fast one on us with 2023's Heart of an Artist Resurrection. For those of you who aren't as keen-eared as some of us in the Iris community, Castle That Never Dies Resurrection had the main lead riff of Bind the Bible in its instrumental section. And that really set me off. I was like, this fucking guy, this dude is fucking edging us with this song right now. So what did I do? I sat and suffered for a long time. However, then I approached Sheev, again, regarding things like the Omen Child Altar Edition and Resurgence were conversations during that time, and I was like, hey, you want to do fucking Bind the Bible and make it a full song? Now, you'd think, Bind the Bible, it's a song that had a 2-minute section that was the intro, verse, chorus. Now, you'd think it would be simple, another verse and another chorus would be like a minute and a half, maybe add a bridge that's a bit shorter, and then another chorus. Make it like a 5.5 minute song. Well, I regret to inform those of you who like short music that you're not gonna like this one, because Bind the Bible Finalist is a 7.5 minute song filled with references to other Iris material, both sections of the previews that we got, 2018 one and the 2019 version. This is a track that easily it took the longest for Sheev and I to make. I only finished it on stream a couple of days ago. This song, along with Resurgence, is easily the most complicated, most complex, and most rewarding song that I've ever done in terms of any projects on this channel. I am so fucking proud of both Resurgence and Bind the Bible. And for those of you who are wondering about the progress of Goliath's Throne Finalist Edition, it's done. It is going to be releasing on December 3rd of, this year. And I am very, very happy that it is done. It is 19 tracks, an hour and 25 minutes, and a whole fuck ton of work. And that will conclude the Iris Finalist trilogy that I've been building up over the course of 2025. I started with Dawn of the Demetrix at the start of the year on January 21st, and then Heart of an Artist came out on May, I believe it was 25th, that I actually released the album on YouTube, and now Goliath's Throne Finalist will be on December 5th. And that will be, the end of the Iris Finalist trilogy. Is what I would say if there weren't more, because I haven't decided the date, but in 2026, in either June or July, end of June or beginning of July, I am going to be releasing the Iris Finalist Trilogy companion video, which contains Heart of an Artist, Dawn of the Demetrix, and Goliath's Throne Finalist all in one video, along with, not only that, but We Stand in Line Finalist is going to be a thing. One more finalist, the song that was revealed in last year's Iris Direct, Earth from Exile, and making that a finalist edition, which to my knowledge, on the day that this is being released, is the day that it comes out. So in the comments, tell me how the song is. Do you think I'll be able to do it easily? Do you think it's going to be really hard? I don't know. And along with that, I wouldn't leave the Finalist trilogy without something really special. This has been a monumental part of my life. It's taken the better part of 3 whole years to get this done. And to leave it off, there is going to be Bind the Bible Reprise. Again, instrumental from Sheev. However, the difference with this Bind the Bible is that it's not exactly Bind the Bible. It is an Iris medley, with Bind the Bible's instrumental as its basis. I already have plans for what this track will be. I am already mapping out different sections of it, and I'm going to make sure that the Iris Finalist Trilogy is left with a proper send-off. Because again, this has taken the better part of 3 years, and in June or July, it'll be 4 years of my life as what will then be a 21-year-old winter. So the better part of like a good fifth of my life will be spent on this Finalist Trilogy, or like the Iris covers, and I want to send it off in the best way possible. So that is FlashDrive Finalist and Goliath's Throne Finalist and the Iris Finalist Trilogy as a whole. But we're still not done with the Finalist editions, because I have a surprise for you all. We have another project that is in the works, and that you will see 2 singles from, and that you technically already have seen 2 demos from in the past. Open Infinitum Finalist Edition. This is going to be a lot smaller of a segment because I don't really know a lot about Open Infinitum right now. There are some things that are revealed, some things that I know about that you guys don't know about from an interview that I had with a certain someone about things. But the plan and Madman Finalists are going to be releasing in November. And whenever I can, I don't know if it'll be 2026 because release dates of Will's material are just fucking weird. They're wacky. They don't have any sense of cohesion to them, especially upon the fact that Open Infinitum was supposed to be released this year, but then it got pushed back to spring of next year, which means it'll probably be summer of next year, which means that I'm going to have a lot of work on my hands learning brand new material with that. I don't know if it'll be 2026 or 2027, but Open Infinitum Finalist Edition is coming, and the Plan and Madman are going to be remastered, and the Plan even remade for their November slot release dates. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say with that one, because that's a case where it's going to be a lot of learning by ear and, paying attention to different news on things. I do know about a specific track that's going to be on there. I don't know, like, the lyrics or sound of it, but I do know that there's a specific track on there that the general public doesn't really know about, at least to my understanding. But yeah, Open Infinitum Finalist Edition is coming. And that brings me to a specific point that I want to talk about, because I did say that I wouldn't be covering anything from Iris or DA Games. I put out a video entitled Regarding DA Games, which is the most popular channel on here, Reminiscent Industries, and it also got a lot of attention on Winter Dust stuff. I wanted to address this video and say that, yes, I think that Will and the team have done a horrible job, to put it bluntly, and almost de-exaggerate it. They've done a horrible job at keeping up a face that deserves respect on the internet, with not responding to the allegations regarding Will and the team at large in terms of their moderation of the Discord server. There's just a big gray area, or not even like a gray area. There's a big black cloud of morality that surrounds the DAOnline team right now, and I don't respect that team. However, what I do respect is the impact that the DAOnline ecosystem has had on my life, which is why Open Infinitum and FlashDrive Finalists are going to be existing. It's why they're going to be on this channel. And some people may, say, hey, that's a great thing. And others may say that that's a bad idea, that it seems like I'm promoting the bad actions of Will and the team. And if that is the angle that you take away, I don't have any control over that. Again, it's a big gray area, and there's the question of, should you make covers of people who have not only done bad things, but have been actively silencing those who bring up said bad things? Again, it's a massive gray area in that respect. So I'm making the decision from today onwards to unlist the Regarding DA Games video from both this channel and Winter Does Stuff. I hope that you guys respect this decision, because it has not been an easy one to make in terms of, coming to terms with this decision and making the effort to streamline the process of doing these covers as much as possible and not have outside videos get in the way of, the production on them, in terms of I don't want anything to get in the way of me doing these projects. And I might even do, future DA Games covers that are not just FNAF and Bendy related for Freddy's Final Megamix and Bendy's Inky Megamix that I'm going to be talking about later in this video. But just know that I still don't respect the team, and I probably never will. But this is a case where I want to do what I want to do, and it's unfortunate that I want to make content that is from a creator that has been pretty awful in the past. That's really all I'm going to say about it here. I don't want to, bloat the video's runtime with the talk about this thing. So let's go on to the next topics that aren't revolving around DA Games or Iris, with other cover projects going forward. Because yes, there is still a lot to go through. Alright, so the next cover project that I want to talk about in our big list of projects here is Psychotic Memories, Reclamation, and the trilogy behind it. Psychotic Memories has been a backbone of my musical interests for several years now, going all the way back to 2018 with the first release of Psychotic Memories from Lone Wolf Music, Sammy, Psychotic Fox, all of their labels that they have. I originally covered the Psychotic Memories trilogy back in 2022, with those albums being released, but I didn't think I did a great job. Even then, I thought those mixes were fundamentally flawed, and in some ways, just not acceptable in general. So, what am I going to be doing 3 years later? I'm going to be going back and doing every single one of them. I am currently 4 tracks into the album Psychotic Memories.
Okay, this section of the video is wrong. By the time that I am editing this, not the time that I recorded this about 2 weeks ago, the album is done. So you can just kind of label this section entirely irrelevant. I'll edit most of this out.
And I'm really, really excited because I have more to bring to this trilogy than I did with the Iris Finalist collection, because Sammy set out to do the Psychotic Memories, Remembrance, and Lover and a Fighter Rematch and Downfall Definitive as statements saying, like, I acknowledge where I come from and I'm gonna change a few things, adding more tracks, adding a key change in Safe Haven, which was for me, by the way. Memories Reclamation, this trilogy is going to be a chance for me to truly embed myself into these tracks, because for those of you who don't know, I've gone through similar things to what Sammy went through. Beyond the allegory of these songs, I feel like a lot of the experiences within the Psychotic Memories trilogy are pretty universal experiences. It differs in how different people are shaped from these things, and I feel like I've turned out with Psychotic Memories Reclamation and Lover and a Fighter Reclamation, Downfall Reclamation, I'm gonna be changing a couple things. Lyrics. My goal is to not go the Iris Finalists route with this, and I am aligning myself to making only one extra key change per Reclamation album, with Psychotic Memories Reclamation from Iris Finalist. Because I feel like there isn't really much that I can change with Iris Finalist that I didn't before in terms of like lyrics. Like Will's lyrical style, very different from Sammy's. And the reason why I say that is because Sammy was younger when they wrote these songs. And I feel like there are some changes that I can add to the lyrics that'll shift them from being a trilogy about Sammy and make this cover trilogy essentially a trilogy about my experiences with some of the things that went through beyond the allegory. And I think that'll be a really cool thing. I've talked to Sammy about this already. They're kind of on board with that. And, you know, I'm really excited for you guys to see this. These will follow the Finalist trilogy outlook. The release schedule. My plan is for Psychotic Memories Reclamation, you know, the album itself, to release on January 21st. Downfall Reclamation will release in May, and then Lover and a Fighter Finalist will release December 3rd of 2026. Again, I am super fucking stoked for you all to hear what I have so far, and I have no doubt that I'll have it done even by the end of the year, so that I can focus on things that we're going to be talking about. Speaking of which, the next project that is on the docket that isn't the Reclamation stuff for covers is the Incubus, the famous Last Words album that I have been messing around with in production for quite a little bit now. My intention is for it to release October of 2026. And I don't have a single track of it done. My progress on this has been interspersed throughout pretty much every track. I have just a little bit of progress on each one. I'm close to being done with a few of them though, so no need to worry on that. It'll be done by October of 2026. That's a year down the line, and I'm already close to having 1 or 2 tracks finished. That brings us to the conversation that I have been wanting to have for a little bit now, that being famous last words covers in general. My history with covering famous last words has been spotty in varying degrees of quality. Over the years, I've done several covers of famous last words material, those being Two-Face Charade, Council of the Dead, and the Negative EP. I am gonna say that things are gonna be changing with that inconsistent quality, because I am announcing here today, yes, I'm not even fucking kidding, that the famous Last Finalist trilogy will be happening. Two-Face Charade, Council of the Dead, and the Incubus, starting with the Incubus and moving our way backward in that. And I'm also going to be doing a recover EP of the Negative. I'm pretty fucking stoked to be doing this. I'm really eager to showcase the skills that I've improved in since the last cover collection of famous last words material, which was by now Two-Face Charade, which is quite a difference in quality in terms of what I'm going for here. I've definitely learned a lot since then. So yeah, famous last finalist collection is coming to you guys from 2026 onward into however long that takes. But rest assured that it is coming. These are going to be, again, like going forward, this is the most quality material I've ever produced. And if FlashDrive Finalist is anything to go by, I'm just going to get better from here. So yeah, that's what's going on with that. And speaking of things that haven't been touched on in a while that I'm going to be doing remasters of, The Dragon's Charge. Not only is it going to be coming back with Volume 4, but I'm also going to be redoing, yet again, Volumes 1, 2, and 3 of The Dragon's Charge. Collections of Dragon Force covers that I compiled together over the years. Again, quality projects, quality stuff. I'm really excited to showcase some of the changes that I'm going to be making, because yes, there are going to be some changes that I'm going to be making both lyrically, and yes, I'm going to be adding, my signature key changes. By the way, I want to address that because people have been asking, like, why do the key changes?
Because it's fun! Have some whimsy in your life.
I love key changes. I will always love key changes, and I will always add them to projects even if they don't need it. Whether you think it's unnecessary is up to your interpretation. I view them as an essential part of music, and there should at least be one key change every single album that is ever released, ever. I firmly believe that, because key changes are fucking awesome. that's my rant about that. Dragon's Charge is another project that I haven't touched in even longer, since 2023. I really want to get back into the weeds with it, not only doing Dragon's Charge Volume 4 and Final Bow that I've had planned, but also doing Volumes 1, 2, and 3 again, because again, I feel like those are inconsistent across the board in quality, and I feel like I can do them much better justice now. The intent for the projects that I'm doing going forward is for me never to redo them again, to never feel that it is necessary to redo them again, because I'm tired of doing old material, guys. As much as, you know, the fact that I'm redoing them is me, you know, saying implicitly, like, I just want to go back and relive my glory days. No. They're not even glory days. They're when my channel never got any attention, where it was just me doing shit covers to do shit covers. I feel like I can do them so much better now, and I feel like I can make something of myself with these other things that I'm going to be doing. So yeah, I believe that's going to be a 2026 project that I'm going to be doing Volume 4 of the Dragon's Charge. And then again, 2026 and onward is going to be more Dragon Force material. Yeah, there's a lot on this list, guys, and we're only like halfway done with the covers. So again, like, fucking strap in. Talking about another project that I haven't touched in the current era of the channel. Back before 2022, I had a large catalog of videos, well over 1,000 of them, and one of those little projects that I had in there was the Broken Collection, Breaking Benjamin covers. Benjamin is literally well within the top 10 favorite bands of all time for me. Well, probably in the top 5. And I love their material, and I want to do covers of their stuff. So there are going to be 2 volumes of covers that I'm going to be doing from them. I don't have any planned release dates for any of these albums. Not only that, but their tracks. I'm working on so many things right now I'm really, really excited to showcase. So this is probably going to be a late 2026 project for any even of the singles into 2027 and onwards. I'm really excited, though, to show you guys what I have cooking up here, because the Broken Collection that I did release, I believe that was 2021 or even the tail end of 2020, was fairly amateur, I would say. So yeah, that is another project that I'm going to be working on. And then talking about favorite bands of all time and cover projects that I'm going to be working on, the collective Muse. I put out a couple of covers of this, not only the beginning of this year, but the latter half of last year, containing Muse covers. Collective Muse has been a project that I've wanted to do for a while. It is a 4-volume cover collection of Muse material that might balloon even into 5. Very, very excited for you all to see what I got cooking up here, because I think, especially with the new quality, the tracks that you heard from last year and earlier this year will sound bigger and better than ever before. Again, it's just a really exciting time for me to finally reach what I believe is the best sound that I've ever had, and display it with just tons of covers and even originals. Again, we'll get to those later. But I think that the Collective Muse is a great way to start with really solidifying that sound. Finalist editions of stuff with things like Open Infinitum or FlashDrive or even Iris Finalist have been me building up to the best sound that I've ever had. Things like this are stuff that I can really hone my craft and explore the vast range of sounds that this best mix has. And I'm really, really excited for you all to see it. It's just a really good time for me, musicianship-wise. It's really good right now. And now, let's talk about something that I alluded to before, that we're returning back to, and that is fandom music. I have organized the Freddy's Final Megamix collection, which is another 4-volume cycle of Five Nights at Freddy's covers. It is 50 tracks total. I have those all in my Discord server. Y'all should join it if you're not in there already. But this is a project that I devised, I want to say, like, late 2021, that I wanted to do all of these. I've barely changed the track list from then to now. I think that this is still the amount that I want to go with in terms of that. And also, along with Freddy's Final Megamix, there's going to be Bendy's Inky Megamix, which is a collection of Bendy and the Ink Machine / Dark Revival / just Bendy franchise tunes that I'm going to be working on in terms of covering them. And the issue with doing FNAF covers is that it's a lot of different artists. Things like the Broken Collection and the Dragon's Charging Collective Muse, I know the copyright rules. With so many artists and so many tracks being under the helm of Freddy's Final Megamix and the Inky Megamix for Bendy, it's hard to gauge the copyright, so I won't be putting these in an album video. However, I will be putting out a video announcing that these are done and that there are playlists that are going to be on the channel with each album. So it's going to be a little bit more scattered than my normal cover projects are, but this is something that I've been, again, wanting to do since like early 2022, late 2021, that I've been wanting to do these. So yeah, those collections, all of these collections have been some of the bigger and better ones that I really want you guys to look forward to. But there are two big projects that are on the horizon that I really, really want to talk about. The first one of these is Onyx Colony Rebirth. I put out the Recovered collection of 4 demos and one finished song, that being Shadow on the Wall, from kind of weird era where I was working with friends Black Ryuk and Shardline to create Onyx Colony covers. 26 of them, 13 on 2 albums. Very, very happy to say that progress on this has sort of begun again. Things aren't set in stone for release dates because we want to take as much time with this as possible. So it very likely will not be a 2026 release. This will be 2027 and even onward. That Ryuk and I are kind of in the works talking again about this project. In terms of Shardline's involvement, it's a bit tricky because Shard has been kind of blowing the fuck up, to say the least. So I don't know if they want to come back. I've been kind of hinting at it in talks with them, but I haven't, asked anything yet. But the intention is for at least myself and Ryuk to complete this project. Again, it will not be anytime soon because there is just a lot of material that we have left to go through. There's a lot of progress that we have to pick up on. Those original 5 tracks are not going to be the sound that you guys are going to hear in the final versions. But rest assured that Onyx Colony Rebirth and Ascension will be proper projects in the future. I really have had this idea in my head to do these cover albums for a long time. And so has Ryuk, admittedly. He's wanted to do these for a long time too, just not in the way that I've wanted to do. So we've kind of just collaborated and melded the ideas together to make sure that this is just something we're really, really passionate about. And good things come to those who wait in terms of this. It is going to be a long process to get these done. So, yeah, I am so happy to say that Onyx Colony Rebirth and Ascension are going to be finished products. When that will be, I do not know, because currently we're working on, myself and Ryuk are working on something that I'll share in the next section. But for now, just know that we are in talks of doing Onyx Colony Rebirth and Ascension once again. And I guess that is mostly it for the topics of covers on Reminiscent Industries. There's a lot of projects that are in the works right now. Never mind. We have one more. Let's do something I don't normally do and, roll a clip.
something in the water. Are you so secure in being everything you know? Don't you feel that God is watching? Am I really worthy to be chasing any dream? Would I always be my worst mistakes? I smile for the cameras. Aren't you contented in attention? Everyone loves you. Yet they've never seen my fangs. Could you still love me? Please step into the curtain. How did I make it? How did I make it? How did I make it out alive? Driven by self-preservation, when I could be your prey. How am I different? How am I different? Different than the ones that I've cried. 'Cause saying anything is trying too hard. The silence is a bastard. Out on the edge of the night, oh my, letting the audience fester. Can anybody be unsafe these days? Each breath congeals and resters. Out on the edge of the mind, oh my, they kept undone in ashes. Moving in slow motion 'cause there is no other way. Any sudden move could scatter them. Lonely are the stars, void of silent observers, bursting into dust and questions. Are you happy? They all look up at you. Shining star girl. Remove this file from her file queue. Could I lay right down at the closing of penance? Let it come over, let it come over, let it come over me. So part of this useless man.
Yeah. Within the next few years, I don't even intend for it to be a 2026 release. I'm going to be covering Monarch of Monsters from Violet Pony. This is an album that fundamentally changed my life earlier this year. I reacted to it on the channel Winter Does Stuff. You can go over to that. But this is an album that has fundamentally changed my life, and I wanted to celebrate it by creating a cover album. Right now, Survivor's Guilt, track 4 on the 12-track album, is already done. What I will say is that I will not be streaming the process of these tracks, because I want this album to be more of a album that I keep to myself. I feel like it's one of those albums where I have to take exceptional care, because there is so much involved in this that is not readily on the surface. There are so many intricacies in Violet's mix that I have to learn and completely reevaluate my style from doing things like Famous Last Finalist or the Iris Finalist or PM Remembrance. This is a project that I have to take extra care into and build up my own separate mixing style from everything I've ever done up to this point. So it's probably going to be a 2027 or even 28 release, but rest assured, Monarch of Monsters, my cover album, is coming. And that, I promise, is the end of the covers discussion. There's a lot here. GT Finalist and the Iris Finalist collection, you know, that big trilogy. We've got Psychotic Memories Reclamation, Open Infinitum Finalist, the Incubus and the Famous Last Finalist trilogy, Dragon's Charge, Collective Muse, Broken Collection, Freddy's Final Megamix, Bendy's Inky Megamix, Onyx Colony, and now Monarch of Monsters. There is a lot of covers that I'm working on in the near future, and I really just cannot wait to share it all with you. Everything that I just mentioned is going to be my best material ever. I am only continuing to get better as I research, as I'm getting my vocal coaching, as I'm getting my training, and just everything that I'm doing right now is just so fucking exciting, involving covers, and it's a lot. I definitely acknowledge that. There's like a lot there. It's a really exciting time for me. And I'm really, really happy that that excitement seems to be reciprocated in my community. There's a lot of people that have been joining the Reminiscent Industries community that we have here. This channel, Winter Dust Stuff, still hasn't grown past it, which is something that's kind of exciting for me, because it really does mean that my music is meaning a lot to more people. And I'm really, really excited to showcase what I have in the future for covers on Reminiscent Industries, along with originals. Because my process on original music has skyrocketed as of more recently. And today, the second half of this video will be covering all of my planned original music material that is coming in the future. So I think we should just get the fuck in. Alright, so original music is an interesting thing to talk about with my material in particular, because I have mainly focused on covers for the majority of this channel's lifespan. However, the last few years, 2024 starting the process, I have begun to delve into original music on a grander scale than just releasing an a cappella demo that I did with I Can't Remember back in 2023. The biggest difference is now I am actually semi-consistently releasing things. I think it is best to talk about Players and Pieces right now, because that is the biggest original music project on the horizon right now. So let's talk about it. Right now it is a 10-track album. That is the scope that I've aimed for this specific album literally since its inception. I wanted to do a full-length record that wasn't too much, but it also wasn't too little, especially when you look at my original music releases right now, which is literally just the 3-track original Broken Visage, Nightlight the single, Physically Ill, and there was also the Patchwork edition of the Broken Visage, which was a revitalization slash full version of the project that I'm going to be talking about in actually just a little bit here. But I want to start with Players and Pieces because that, again, is the current biggest thing on the channel right now that I'm leaning towards in terms of original music material. We already have a few tracks revealed. Physically Ill, the Terrifier song, which released last Christmas, and was the first single for the project, and there was also In the Wild, a Borderlands song. I believe it was the very tail end of June that I put that song out, and both of those had actually pretty great reception. Pretty much every original song has gotten at least 100 views on its own, which is incredible. Honestly, I don't think I've had, series of videos, especially on Reminiscent Industries, where the content is so wild and varied, and admittedly, there is so much of it that not a lot of things get to that point. And first of all, I really just want to say thank you for the reception to my original music so far. It has been wonderful to finally realize these ideas that I've had in my head for such a long time. The very first song of that thing that I wrote was track 1 of it, The Power of Choice, which is labeled as a Deltarune song now. However, that song was actually written as a poem back in 2018, I believe before Deltarune was even released. There are so many songs like that, especially in this collection. Not only that, but the Reminiscent story, which is The Broken Visage, Remdes, and In Memory. Again, we'll get to that later. But my original music is entirely built on, at least for the moment, ideas that have been permeating and marinating for so long that I finally have both the means of skill set in myself, but others around me that are assisting me with bringing this material to life. And Players and Pieces will be the start of that, which features my good friend Unknown. He's a really good friend of mine, and we have been trying to figure out a way to get this done for a while. Physically Ill was the first draft, and In the Wild was the second. However, the one thing that held the project back was my mixing and mastering. Players and Pieces is the 10-track album project that is going to start the game trilogy. Not just one album, but a 3-album set of nerdcore records entitled Players and Pieces, Beyond the Screen, and Play Their Game. There is a total of 36 tracks over the course of the entire trilogy. It is not only just a nerdcore fan song trilogy, it is also a concept trilogy. There is a hidden concept in between the lines of every single song that connects together in the big finale that is the End the Game 3-movement prog piece in Play Their Game. It's a project that is a lot more complicated than I originally envisioned it to be. To be honest, I originally just wanted it to be Players and Pieces and Beyond the Screen. However, I thought that the way that Beyond the Screen ended was a little bit too dark. It was a little bit too nihilistic, even, for me to end the project that way. And while Play Their Game is still dark in its ending, but Play Their Game ends on a place where it is dark, and I will admit that it's a little bit depressing, shall we say, but it is hopeful for the future. The essence of that project is finding a way to navigate a world around you that is inherently corrupt through escapism and the media that we involve ourselves into, like games or movies or TV shows or what have you. Trilogy has been a major coping piece for me, I guess. In terms of writing, it's helped me delve into some stuff that leads into some of the other material that we're going to be talking about. But the intent for Players and Pieces is to be May 4th of 2026. Unfortunately, it isn't going to be available on Christmas. There is way too much to do from here until then. I do feel like it is entirely plausible for us to hit the May 4th goal, which I hope is the case because, god damn it, I do not want to delay this thing any further. It was intended to come out Christmas, which I'm okay with setting it back, but it's like, I really want to show this to you guys, and I really want my original music to get started on a more complete level than it is right now, with an actual album release instead of just 2 EPs and a couple of singles here and there. And Players and Pieces especially means a lot to me because it builds on literally everything that I'm going to be including my original music going forward outside of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about in this video, because y'all know me, I plan a lot ahead. But Players and Pieces and Beyond the Screen, some of these tracks are going to be mainstays in my original music, which leads us to the next thing, that being what I have been building for a lot longer, the Reminiscent story, which includes the Broken Visage, Reminiscent Desolation, and the new third album in that project, Ending the Memory. This project is a lot for me to talk about, and I probably won't even talk about all of it in this video. But originally it was designed to be simply just Reminiscent Desolation a long while ago. And then a content creator and fellow friend of mine, Black Ryuk, came up to me with the idea of, hey, I've got these 5 instrumental demos, how about you make lyrics to them? And so I did. I wouldn't say it's necessarily accidental, but I made them a lot about my traumas that I've been through the last couple of years, with multiple sets of circumstances that aren't just the things that some people will connect with and some people will see through, in terms of things like Breaking the Mirror or the Broken Visage title track. Uneasy Transitioning and Flawed Insight, those 2 songs are about specific events that I have not really delved into on any of the channels, and that a lot of things in the future of my original projects will touch on also. So that was a very interesting stepping stone for me to go, well, I already have Reminiscent Desolation. What if the Broken Visage became the prequel to the ideas that are present within Reminiscent Desolation? And then I thought to myself, Reminiscent Desolation isn't enough. It is a 7-track, I don't even know whether to call it an EP or an album, because the length is projected to be anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes, but, you know, it's a 7-track record. And then there's the Broken Visage, which is only 5 tracks, so I thought to myself, what can I do here to make this a more complete project? What can I do to make it a lot more fulfilled in itself than it already is? That would just be to make a big 3rd act album entitled Ending the Memory, which covers a lot of something that people don't talk about in terms of trauma, because there are a lot of albums that I myself love very much. Monarch of Monsters is one of those. I love the Psychotic Memories trilogy. I love the Iris trilogy. I love the Vanguard trilogy, again connecting back to Psychotic Memories. But Ending the Memory talks about something that those don't talk about, and that is emotional and mental relapse. It talks about when you think you're good, when you think you've overcome so much trauma, where you fall back on things. Your behaviors don't exactly change. Your behaviors don't exactly stop, so much as morph into something more, and that can result in things like addiction. There's a lot of stuff in Ending the Memory that touch on my personal trauma experiences, as, you know, the rest of the trilogy has, but it's a lot more autobiographical than those, because a lot of what the Broken Visage and Reminiscent Desolation talk about are more exaggerated, and it's a very hyper-real experience with those. I amplify the emotions of that. Ending the Memory talks about stuff that is very real, that is very relatable, and that is very, honestly, quite challenging, I think, at least, like, to me, to listen back to. Because it talks about such universal issues that I kind of made myself uncomfortable with the writing of a few of those tracks, including Nightlight. Because Nightlight is a song that talks about an aspect of me that I don't really talk about myself. It's not, you know, present in the way the track itself is presented, it's the way the lyrics are presented. You can go through literally every song on Ending the Memory and take it a different way than it is presented to you, except for the last 2 tracks, because those are just the tracks that are meant to end the memory. And I think what Ending the Memory has helped me do is help look at myself that I've been in the past, the me from the past, and honestly, just look at that person really fucking embarrassedly, because I am a person who has been running on fumes of trauma for so fucking long. And writing for the Reminiscent story and the project that we're going to be talking about after this next one has been such an eye-opening experience for me. I've been awful. to put it ever so classily, like with a manner of grace and prestige. I've been fucking awful to so many people, and I know that isn't like something I should be laughing about, but it's a case where I'm laughing about it because I didn't notice it. I'm laughing about it because now it's something that I can look back at and just go, you're fucking stupid. Why didn't you stop while you were ahead? And I don't know, the Reminiscent story is just one of those projects where I have been doing it for so long, where I have been looking back and rewriting some of this shit for so long, and I've been working on it since I was 9 years old when I wrote the first track, Why Can't I See? It's been a lot, and it's helped me learn so much more about myself than I could have ever hoped to when I first started the project. The game plan for the Reminiscent trilogy is for Reminiscent Desolation to come out in Christmas of 2026. That is, again, subject to change because we are doing Players in Pieces. However, this is one of those release dates where it's very similar to Players in Pieces, where it's like, this has been in the backlog and in the oven cooking for so long that I just want to get it out, man. I just want to get it the fuck out. Working with Unknown and Brandon for Remides has been amazing, and Brandon and Letus for Ending the Memory has been great too, because it offers a chance for us to step outside of some of our normal realms of expertise genre-wise, and it really puts us into a place where we have to really critically think about how we want this to sound and how we want the trilogy as a whole to flow, and it's been just really, really interesting so far. So yeah, that's pretty much the Reminiscent story and the game trilogy in a nutshell. It's been a lot of interesting twists and turns, plot twists, and just a lot of interesting things. Which actually leads me to a special announcement regarding the Broken Visage. In the back end, myself and Ryuk have been working. We've been cooking again, and the reason why Onyx Colony, Rebirth, and Ascension is going to be taking so long is because right now, as I'm recording this, Ryuk is working on remake instrumentals of the Broken Visage project. I sent my vocals into him that I recorded for the patchwork versions, which I think are the definitive versions of those vocals. And he is working on remake instrumentals of those. I have no idea when this will be released. That is all up to him and his time frame. Reminder that the Broken Visage is not just my project, guys. It is something that was given to me as a favor from a friend who just wanted to make some banger stuff. So the remake of the Broken Visage will be released on Ryuk's time schedule, and all I know is that he is working very hard at what he is doing and that he has shared some slammer previews with me. Again, I don't know if it'll be out this year or even 2026, but all I know is that it is coming to you guys. So keep an eye out for that. I will be letting you guys know when that is up to being released. So yeah, again, that is all that the Reminiscent story and the game trilogy have to offer. So let's move into some of the stuff that most of my audience will not know about. Let's get it. Now, I've talked about both the game trilogy and the Reminiscent story, which are two things that I've made you guys very well aware about in the past and, you know, in this current present time. Now, let's get into some things that I've been kind of holding out for in the back end for releases that are later down the line, but I still want to let you guys know about. The first of those being the Winter Society arc. Yes, this thing still exists. A long time ago, I released little previews of things that are for the album Formation, which is a 7-track record, very similar to Reminiscent Desolation, but focusing on the fictional universe of the Fall. The first of those albums is entitled Formation, and I did have a second album entitled In Due Time. The thing with this duology is that I stopped writing it. It is only 2 albums, but I stopped writing it around the 3rd or so track in that collection. And my idea was that I would release it then. I didn't have the skill set, nor the technical ability, nor any comprehension of how to write an album in terms of, instrumentals and vocals. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. So it just wasn't in the cards. But now that I'm working with folks like Unknown and Brandon and Letus, I have the ability to do that now. So what I've done is I've gone back through the original 7 tracks and the 12 tracks that I have of In Due Time, completely rewritten some of these songs, kept the structure of some of them, and fully completed this duology in terms of lyrics. Era 1 of The Shining Angels, which is all 5 of these different projects, is being recorded at around the same exact time. The problem with this is that, I have a lot of other projects on the horizon, so the difference with that is that it's going to take a while for everything to take shape, but rest assured that everything is being recorded vocally right now so that everything can be finished in a more timely manner than, let's just say, some of the covers, which are incremental. There's a lot of time between some of those releases that are going to be happening. This story, the Winter Society arc, has been... It's a little bit of an embarrassing one for me because since writing this duology at its first stage, I've done a lot of things with the characters of, say, Evan Michaels or Jack Walker or Defiant, the leader of the Frozen Force, that is far removed from what this duology has set in stone. But I've kind of organized it as a sort of alternate universe from that, so as my mind can be like, this can exist at the same time as those other things. And it's been an interesting journey because, as I said, I've written so much of the fall that is separate from this iteration of those characters. But I do think that there is genuine merit in having a collection that tells this story, because this was one of the first stories that I ever wanted to tell on this channel, Reminiscent Industries, which was the Winter Society, which was the Shining Angels at one point. And it's something that I want to do. And is it cringe? Yes. Is it self-indulgent? Abso-fucking-lutely. But the thing that I'm confident in is that it is better than it originally was going to be. So, again, with these, I don't really have release dates for them, but I do have track lists on the Genius Lyrics page, which you can go check out for yourselves. The Genius Lyrics pages are all pulled up. The vast majority of the things on there have lyrics attached to them. So if you want to get an idea of what these songs are like before the releases, you can check those out. That'll be in the description box below. So let's talk about something that's brand spanking new. I have told you guys throughout this original section that the Reminiscent story, the game trilogy, and the Winter Society arc are all building off of things that I had already done before now. But now is something that is brand new, and that I am so excited to be announcing to you guys today, the Unwoken Seasons trilogy, a progressive rock and metal trilogy based on the character Kaiva. I have meticulously built over the course of the last few months now. This is a trilogy that is very, very far removed genre-wise from some of my earlier materials, such as the Reminiscent story, game trilogy, Winter Society arc. It is a lot more refined in terms of what I want to do with it. It has a much clearer vision, and along with 3 albums, is also going to have 3 novella companions that go along with it. This is a genuine story that I've wanted to tell for at least a couple of years now, but never really had the inspiration to do it until now. And it's the story of someone who has gone through trauma, falling in love with someone else and not the world around them or themselves first. And what results of that? It's a very dark story. It delves into a lot of topics that I don't really normally even try to approach, because at the time of me conceptualizing the trilogy before actually writing it out, I hadn't dealt with some of the stuff that is in this. I didn't have the mindset or the authority to do so, because I didn't go through any of some of the subjects that are in here. Well, as of the last few years, I can say that for better or worse, I've gone through a lot. I have had a lot of things happen to me, both good and bad. It's definitely a for better or for worse situation, but I have gone through enough where I feel I do have the authority to write a project of this magnitude that talks about some of the subject matter that's in here. Because I will say it time and again, this story is very dark. It's probably the darkest story that I have written and probably will ever write for my original music going forward. The Unwoken Seasons trilogy is the story of trauma and spiraling into it beyond reproach and beyond saving. And it's the story of two complicated people who are just trying to live in a world that is very much stacked against them. That results in a story that is actually rather bleak at its conclusion, and it sets up another one of those threads that I talked about in the Reminiscent and the Game trilogies, where this is a through line, the papier-mâché heart motif that will continue through my original music projects going forward. It's something that I'm very, very passionate about, this trilogy especially, because, again, it allows me to delve into topics and traumas and experiences that I've had cooped up in my head, not as long as the others, but for a couple of years now, that I've really needed to get off my chest. This is another case where I don't have any release dates for you guys, but there are 3 albums: The Papier-Mâché Heart, The Skins We Shed, and Dear Poria, Regret is Burden. These are albums that I am probably more excited for than anything else. It's just going to take a lot to get to them. And it's also a situation where it's like, I want to record them now, but I am recording so many things at once that it is going to take a while for even these to get started recording. As I said, what I want to do is record all of my original material vocally right now, along with some of the other cover projects that I'm doing, the Psychotic Memories Trilogy Reclamation project that I'm doing right now. And you'd really think after that, after 11 albums of stories that I'm telling originally, you know, the Game Trilogy, Reminiscent story, in Unwoken Seasons, and the Winter Society arc, 11 albums total, you'd think I'd have my fill. But no. Because there is one more project that I'm here to announce today that is marking the end of the Shining Angels Era 1, the Project Next Door. This is a massive 1-album, 42-piece project. Is massive. This is the ultimate retrospective of what I have built up to now. And some people have actually asked me why write this now. Because Era 1 of the Shining Angels, which contains, as I said, the Game Trilogy, Reminiscent Story, Winter Society Arc, Unwoken Seasons, and now Project Next Door, is all about stuff that I conceptualized many, many years ago now. As I said, Why Can't I See? The Reminiscent Story is over a decade old. The Game Trilogy, at this point of its conception, is technically over 7 years old. A lot of this stuff is older than I would like to say a lot of it is. I'm someone who is only 21. To acknowledge that I started writing projects for over half of my life before ever conceptualizing them fully and completing them is admittedly kind of embarrassing. So, what the Project Next Door seeks to do is serve as a grand retrospective and thematic recontextualization of the major plot points or thematic points of the original first era of my original music content. A lot of what Era 1 of The Shining Angels is, and what The Shining Angels is as a whole, is looking back at yourself and thinking, it's less of negative ruminations as it is, for lack of a better word, reminiscence. It's the acknowledgement that you were who you were, and that you've gone through a lot of things since you were who you were. And that leads into the main theme of The Shining Angels that I've really only just realized recently. The key question of Why Can't I See, that I wrote so many years ago, was me, when I was younger, trying to understand a world that was so much more fundamentally complex than that person ever could have thought it was. And the question now isn't of whether I can see that, of what the world means, and it's less of what the world means to me than what I can be to the world. Shining Angels is a beacon of light for those who have gone through trauma, because it is a project that is built on the foundation of trauma, of someone at a very young age who was just trying to understand the world that they were in. That helps those who are afflicted with trauma to understand the world they're in better, to know that they're not alone, to have a place to connect with. And who knows? This could reach literally nobody. I could be building all of these original albums just to put them out into the ether and get fuck nothing from it. But I want to put them out there because I've written them. Because all of these albums, they're already lyrically written. So what's the next step but to compose them and to add vocals to them and add more of a meaning personally than words could ever describe to them through feeling, through sound, and through emotion. It's something that means a lot to me. And whether people resonate with it or not is up to them. It really is. I'm not someone who at all wants to have any sort of fame or any sort of notoriety or notability. But I want people to know that as someone who's gone through a lot of things over a very short period of time, especially recently, I want people to know that they're not alone. Because for so long, I felt so alone. And the Shining Angels is the exemplary force behind that ideal. It's to show people with trauma that they're not alone. And there's a lot of projects nowadays that are focusing on that, and I am grateful to them. But I feel like, and this may be tooting my own horn, I don't know if this is realistic or not, but to me, the Shining Angels is much more of that because it's more realistic. It's not the sense of you can just get over this. You can heal in time. Like, you can take these steps to heal. No. Because trauma isn't like that. You relapse. You fall back into old habits. You get back to a place of negativity before ever getting better. You can always fall into pits, or you can fall back a few steps. Recovery isn't linear. It's a long road of a lot of suffering and a lot of trial and tribulation and turmoil, and it's hard. And as someone who spent the better half of the 2020s just trying to sift through my own trauma, I probably understand that better than a lot of people. I know what it's like to fall back into the negativity, the old habits. The point that I'm trying to get at here is that the Shining Angels is something that's very important to me. And I would like you guys to join me on that journey if you can. If you can't, that's okay. If you're just here for the covers, that's fine. But if you are here for the originals, thank you so, so much. Because it has given me a lot of courage, especially more recently, to write about as much as I can. And especially beyond Era 1, and yes, there is going to be a lot beyond Era 1's scope, there's just going to be things that aren't totally about trauma. There's certainly going to be a lot of that, and there's certainly going to be a lot of stuff about, mental health and problems that I've had that I want to make clear to those who deal with the same things, that they're not alone. And my original music is kind of just going to be a fuel for that gasoline line to hopefully get at least some attention and to show people that they're not on their own. And so that kind of brings us to the end of this long friggin' video here. This thing has gone over an hour and a half in terms of just the raw recording, so I've got a lot to edit down. But I just want to say, if you made it to the end of this video, first of all, thank you for just having more than the attention span of a goldfish, because it is a lot of stuff that I'm going to be that I am talking about in this video. So, first of all, thank you for watching all the way through to the end here, but also just thank you for sticking by me. If this is your first video that you've seen on this channel, or if it's the 1000th that you've seen across both Winter Does Stuff and Reminiscent Industries, I don't really mind. I just want to say thank you. Every single person who has watched a single one of these videos has helped me out immensely on this journey that has really changed my life, and we're not even fucking monetized yet. It's been a long road, and we're still just over 600 subscribers on Reminiscent Industries and just over 450 on Winter Does Stuff. We haven't even gotten monetized on either channel, and hoo boy, that's going to be an interesting process to go through. But just thank you for sticking by me, because it's been a long road, and it's going to be even longer because I have no intention of ever fucking stopping. Like, literally, right now, there is not a single iota of intention of stopping in my mind, because there's just so much more ahead that I'm looking forward to. I have the brightest outlook on my future right now than I probably ever had. So, I think that's going to be it for this video. We have talked about a lot of fucking things. Again, timestamps are inevitable. Please go to the description and, the timestamps of the thing to maybe eventually watch the whole thing. I don't mind if you don't do that, but there's just a lot of exciting stuff here. So please, if you can, watch the whole thing, because I think y'all are gonna fucking love everything that I'm doing in the future. But with all that being said, I've got to go. I've got to edit this monster of a video. But that's about it from me. Peace. In due time.